to our third technical session. Sylvie Shepherd truly said, the number one factor in engagement is relevance, because relevance drives out resistance. Our next session, titled Making Biology Learning Relevant to Students, addresses the very issue of driving students to pursue career in life sciences by showing them the complex and beautiful web biology is woven with real life. Our esteemed resource person for the session is Dr. Vidya Ma'am, Bhavan Sri Vivekananda College for Science, Arts and Humanities, Hyderabad. We welcome you, ma'am. I request Ms. Malati Verma, Faculty, Department of Biochemistry, to introduce our esteemed speaker.
It is very important that we teach students to make connections between what they learn in the classroom and what they see in their everyday life. As biology instructors, we choose to teach biology devoid of social context, believing that students can make these connections on their own. Integrating social issues into biology curriculum can prepare students to combat with the interdisciplinary nature of 21st century problems. It is the social responsibility of professional science organizations to bring out the interplay between biology and the society. As quoted by Swami Paramhamsa, as long as I live, so long do I learn. The faculty of our St. Francis College for Women, where we are 13 science departments and we lose no opportunity to apply the knowledge we learn. I believe all the faculties across India who have joined this webinar also are doing their best. Little more training can help us to produce student citizen biologists. To promote and help us learn this and many more relevant aspects, we have Dr. Vithya ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. I take privilege to introduce Dr. Vithya Janalagadda ma'am to the audience. Ma'am has done her PhD from University of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. She has worked on research projects at prestigious institutions like Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, Fox Chase Cancer Center, Philadelphia, Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, Hyderabad, Osmania University, Hyderabad, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Cambridge. Ma'am has taught genetics, molecular biology, bioinformatics, virology, and immunology at UG and PG levels. Ma'am has many paper publications, national and international, to her credits, with citation more than 160. Ma'am is presently MD and site head for Arcus Therapeutics, a startup company providing research support in immunology and oncology. Ma'am, it's a deep honor to have you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Malti ma'am, and my many thanks to entire group at St. Francis College for inviting me to talk about something which is so important and so close to my heart. The first question that you might ask is, make biology teaching relevant, but the second part of the sentence is not clear, like relevant to what, right? What is it that we should connect our teaching to, right? Is it to the personal life of the student so that they are able to understand health and disease and make good choices about nutrition or vaccination or food, whatever, okay? Or is it to their professional aspirations, right? Many people want to be researchers, some of them want to be teachers, maybe they want to be managers, maybe they want to start a company. So should our teaching make them ready for meeting that challenge, that hope and aspiration that they have? Or is it also societal goals, like the introduction, she said, like we want a society, we want a population who is aware of science and especially biology, okay? So to what should we connect? And the good answer is, well, to all of them. There is no need to restrict ourselves to just one of these. And there might be more goals or more objectives that students have. And as biology teachers, we can actually meet all of them, okay? So I would like to touch on three topics today. First is, let's look at what is the ground situation. Secondly is what are some of the problems that students and teachers face in trying to make biology teaching relevant. And then also we should spend last few minutes on how to, once we know what the problems are, then we can think of some solutions for these problems, right? So let's try to assess, right? Do students find that biology is relevant to their life or to their career goals, or to making a science, a society that is aware and respectful of science, able to make decisions based on scientific knowledge? So as you can see, that's why I chose this background, because the thing that makes our planet special is life, right? So to me and to most biology teachers, there's absolutely no question that biology is relevant, because that's the only difference between our planet and every other planet and satellite that we know of. Okay, so biology is very important. We have animal and plant life, but many students sadly feel like it has nothing to do with the life that they are living, because their life is about something else. So why is that, right? This is the problem, that we are interested, we want to teach them everything about the wonderful world of cells and genes and the medicine or a technology which comes out of it. But students, they are interested in completely different things, and sometimes there is very little overlap. So the overlap may be only that they feel that they have to somehow complete the course. Okay, so the question today that we would like to answer is, how can we, or if at all, can we make these two spheres interact? Like, what is the syllabus, which is what we want to tell, and then there is separate whole world of students' interests. So how to make them overlap, and the greater the overlap, the better we will see the student engagement, and we also feel really nice. Anyway, we are teaching, but when we see it being useful in students' lives, it makes you feel even better. Okay, so how many students are interested in biology? So the question I asked in the pre-workshop activity, and thank you to all 70 people who filled in this questionnaire. The first question I asked is, what is the level of self-motivation? What self-motivation means is that they do stuff that you tell them, or even something more extra work, without you trying to remind them about it, or giving some kind of a almost threat, like finish it or you will fail or something like that. So if they are self-motivated, that means they see that this study is important to their life goals. But if they are not motivated, self-motivated, then their life goals are something different, and they don't see this as one of the steps in achieving those goals. So when we look at it, we see that less than 25% of teachers say that 75 or more percent of their students are self-motivated. Okay, so that means in many cases, if you look at it, sadly, in 20%, 15 to 20% cases, less than a quarter of the class is interested, and in another 25%, less than half the class is motivated. And it's really difficult to teach such a class, because it becomes a burden, it becomes a chore. It's like some kind of imposition that you have to go and talk to this bunch of people who are not really interested in what you're saying. So the way we will try to think is, how can we increase this score? Like, let's at least try to make it to at least 60% or so, 60 to 70%. And also what happens is, if a lot of people in the class are interested, there is a kind of ripple effect, and then the people around them also feel interested, because there are people interested. It's like the yawning effect. One person yawns in class, and then it kind of spreads. So similarly, if one person shows interest, one person is engaged, then slowly that attitude spreads, that atmosphere spreads, and suddenly the class becomes very interesting. So I thought of two ways to do this, and maybe you can afterwards tell me if you have more recipes to increase the score, right? So what are these two strategies? So here we have a teacher who is talking about something and a student who is thinking about something, and then like there's absolutely no overlap. And one way is to make the teacher move and find out what the student is interested in, and then move the content so that you are connecting to the items that the student is already interested in, which is great, which works for some topics. But the other thing is like, okay, you are teaching something, but the student, being ignorant, doesn't know that this topic is actually so cool, right? They just feel it's a difficult topic or it's a irrelevant topic. And so now it's the teacher's job to draw the student in, to show the potential, to show the promise, to show the, what we can say, cool stuff about this topic. And so that's plan two. Sometimes you find out what the student wants and you try to make the connection with the student. And sometimes you make that topic so attractive and so, scintillating that the student now expands his horizon and then gets interested in what the teacher is saying. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how to do these two things. So the plan one, like I said, is for the teacher to find out what is the student interest. Okay, and then try to try to bring those elements into your lecture or into your discussion, whatever activity that you're doing, right? So that the students feel interested and they feel that learning about this is actually something that they really like. Okay, so what do students like? So I should say that since past 2 or 3 years, I'm no longer teaching. I work for a research company now. But when I was teaching, I saw that most of my students were interested in two things. One was to get good marks, and one was to get a good job. And even those marks sadly were not as a validation of their mastery over the topic. It's not like they wanted to learn so much that they would get good marks. It was like, I want to get good marks in some way, the easiest way possible, so that I can get a job, or maybe I can get admission to the next course, whatever it is, MSc or PhD or MBA, whatever it is that they are trying to do, next diploma course. So I don't know how your students think. Maybe Malti or Dr. Shailaja, one of you can say, do you think this is a fair assessment of what's occupying the students most of the time?
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Right. So when the focus of the student is so narrow, it is really hard to teach with that perspective. So what can we do? It's not like you can't do anything. This is what happens, right? So you have to tell them, how does this topic help them to get that job or that admission to the next course that they are trying for? Okay, so what is it? So what is it that the job requires? Of course, there is no job which requires anyone to attend the class and then write the semester exams. There's no such job, right? So when we are attending classes, it is not just to pass the exam. It is to do something else, and that something else is to acquire those skills by practicing with this kind of practice material, right? So what are we practicing with this material? We are practicing how to read, how to write, how to analyze, how to maybe draw graphs, how to answer questions. So this is a practice material, and if they practice developing these skills with, we have different kinds of lessons, and then they know that they can accept various kinds of inputs, process it, and then deliver some output, which is what the jobs require. Any job that you take requires you to understand what is happening, process it, make the connections, make some predictions, make some retrospective analysis, and then write a report or present a finding such that the next step happens. The next step is again like getting more information, processing that, and then coming to some kind of conclusion, right? So what we are studying, if we try to show it that this is a practice, you are practicing how to be in your job or how to be in your next course which you're going to take, maybe they will focus on the higher order skills that this material requires, right? It requires them to understand it and then digest it and then explain it. Okay. So what prepares the student for the next stage is to discover where the information is. So maybe we shouldn't tell them anything. It's like find out more about this topic, look at some other sources, and the online courses, the online mode of teaching has made everyone very comfortable working with computers. So instead of, surfing the internet just for some jokes or some movies, they might actually use the internet to find academic content, to discover something nice, maybe new essays, new videos, new graphics, right? Then getting this information from more than one source and finding out what is common, what is controversial, what is not clear, though you have looked at it, what are the unanswered questions, find that theme, and then maybe make some extrapolation from it or make a prediction from it, right? And then present that, their findings in various ways. They can speak about it, or they can write a paper, or they can make a poster, or they can make a video, they can make a questionnaire. So many things are possible to do about it. And so if we try to present our material as something which they have to now create an output of, maybe they feel more engaged in it, so that is one way to do this. Let's look at the second way. So obviously, don't just give lectures alone. Dr. Rajlakshmi, she was speaking before me, and she was saying that lectures alone are the easiest way for the teacher. You are in control, you can control yourself, you are prepared, you go and deliver content, you are done. So it's great. And of course, lectures are needed. They're really the foundation of learning, right? But stopping at lectures is not a very good thing to do, because the students are not getting involved, and the instruction should be both. For some content, the teacher is responsible, which we call teacher centric, right? And for some other content, which hopefully is at least 40%, but maybe up to 60%, the student is responsible for developing that content, right? And then that becomes a student centric. And so that would be a wonderful blend where everybody is sharing the role of finding out information and then presenting it to the rest of the group. So, and now a few words about the second way, right? To do something that we have to show, like the students are not interested in it. This topic doesn't always have to be about the jobs, right? So what can we do so that the students realize, like, I'm not thinking about it, but this is a really important thing. It's very cool. I need to know more about it. So it is to find the context, how this matter, okay, how knowing about this matter can help them to make good choices in their food, in their medicine, in their environment, in the society. Like, we don't hear much about this now, but last year when COVID struck, there was this lot of discussion about herd immunity. So many people didn't know about it. People who were not immunologists definitely did not know about it. And then people became very interested in that. They felt that once a certain number of people become immune to COVID, then the rest of the people who are not vaccinated, maybe they also become protected. And that definitely works, right? So what is the health policy? Like, what is the level of vaccination that one should aim for as a government, to get people to think about whether herd immunity works or not, things like that, right? So that is what kind of policy the government should have. And also we hear a lot about climate change, global warming, all kinds of disasters, man-made, climate changes. So how is this topic helpful in understanding how to live nicely on our planet, how to conserve biodiversity, how to be sustainable? These are all goals that young people are interested in, and maybe showing that connection, if there is any, between your topic, the one which you're teaching, and these outside syllabus, but very important matters. Maybe they see that makes them feel that this topic is relevant. The second thing is that, so teacher can, if you have thought about it, teacher can provide some points. In my questionnaire, I had asked teachers, what do you think you can do or what you have already done to give relevance to your topics? Sadly, I did not see anyone give that example. Maybe my question was not clear, but it would be a wonderful thing, Dr. Shailaja, to have a resource like that, because different people are teaching different topics. So if we give examples of how we have connected this topic to something of interest to the youth, and then so any other teacher teaching that topic can look up this resource and use that example to connect it to the students, right? And also, like I said, teachers can challenge students to find such points. Like, I have taught you this, right? How do you think this topic helps you to make a good personal choice? Or how do you think this topic helps us to think about ecology or planet health? And then collect those points also, and then have in our lesson plans, like Madam Rajlakshmi was saying, in the lesson plan also have a number of context points, so that every new teacher who comes in and wants to teach it already has the benefit of experience of teachers who have been teaching before that teacher, right? So that would be a great thing to remember these points, so that not just one teacher, but all teachers benefit from finding points to connect the students to their topics. Okay. So I think this is the first part of our talk. We talked about what is the situation. The situation is that many students do not see that what they're learning in class is actually useful for them in their life. So what could be the reasons? And the second question I asked in my survey was, what is the reason, right? So I gave 8 options, and you can choose all 8, right? But these are the options that I could think of. Is that the syllabus is so boring, or the syllabus is so tough, one or the other, right? Or the syllabus is too much, I cannot focus on anything because it's too much, or I don't have good textbooks, or I don't have good notes, or maybe there's too much distractions. I have to be on my Facebook friends. I have to go to movies, or whatever. COVID may have brought it down because they are kind of under house arrest now, the students. So it would be interesting. I'm not teaching in this year, but it would be of great interest to know whether you have felt your students are able to focus better now that they are not in class and influencing each other to do something like, let's all cut class and go to the movie, or let's all go to dance practice, which is for some reason most attractive to the students. The minute there is going to be a program, everyone wants to go to the dance practice or some skit practice. And the more serious problems, I think, are students who just cannot understand. They have such poor skills. They cannot understand the written material. They cannot follow what the teacher is saying. And even if they have followed it, they are not able to express it. So they get so frustrated because they are unable to show that they know the topic, or they have some questions about it or thoughts about it. The other bad thing, which maybe even some adults are guilty of, is we underestimate the time it takes to learn something, right? We just feel like we should listen to it once and I should just get it. And so not devoting enough time is the reason that you get frustrated with the topic. You feel it's not for you, and it's just something, you have to just somehow manage to pass that exam and get done with it. And this is the worst kind of anxieties. Like, you're so worried about getting a job that you're not preparing to get that job, right? Instead of using this time to develop those skills which are going to be required in the job, you are obsessing over whether this subject has good scope or not, which university can I go to, how much pay do such people get. Typically, when you ask students to ask you questions, these are the questions they ask, like, what kind of job can I get, how much pay can I get, how, those are distracting the students. But of all these are your answers. And I would say that number one is the distraction. Number one is the societal peer pressure distraction. You are just not giving enough time to the subject, right? And because you're not giving enough time to the subject, it seems too much. Because yes, you're supposed to study whatever 15 hours for each unit. You're not doing that because you're so all these three things are connected. The syllabus actually is not enormous, but because you have not allocated enough time for the syllabus, it seems enormous. And the reason you have not allocated enough time is because you're busy with your friends or other family or other hobbies that you might have. Okay, all well and good. So what can we do about it, right? I put it like this, right? So I thought that there are some external factors. External factors is external to the student because the syllabus is not something that they decided, right? So it is, for some students, it's so boring because they've already studied it either in inter or in some, like some topics like structure of DNA is taught in every branch, like, whether you're a botany, zoology, biochemistry, microbiology, genetics, biotech, everybody is teaching this. So then it becomes hard to pay attention, right? And sometimes the topics are too advanced because they haven't prepared well in the previous class. Now you're struggling. And then sometimes you don't see the connection. They just feel that this is a bunch of topics. I don't know why I'm learning them. But we should address some of those. And then we should also address some of the internal factors, which is the students don't have a study plan. They don't know how to study. They don't have comprehension. They cannot express themselves well. And that is not anything to do with the syllabus, because if such a student goes and starts learning in some other subject, they will have the same frustration that they are feeling in their biology class. Okay. So, are there solutions? Yeah, of course, there are always solutions. We are teachers and we come up with great solutions, right? So I'm just going to give two simple solutions. People give those all the time. First solution is make the syllabus better, right? The syllabus is the problem. Like you said, it's too big, it's too small, it's too repetitive, it's too advanced, it is not connected, it's all kinds of, but the thing is, we can never ever get a perfect syllabus, right? Do you agree? Can we ever get a perfect syllabus?
Yes.
No. I mean, luckily yours is an autonomous college, and autonomous colleges have some degree of
but for us,
control over it, right?
20% freedom, ma'am. 20%. Yeah.
Right. Some freedom is there, 20%, 30%, some freedom is there. It's better than no freedom, right? How much can it change? You can change something, right? But will every change make it better? That's the other question, right? No, it will not. Every change is not always for good, because when we are changing our syllabus, to some extent, there is some kind of a testing, right? We put this topic and see whether it's going to fly. Sometimes it does, sometimes it does not, right? But of course, we should pay attention to it. It's not to say like, oh, the syllabus, we can't do anything about it. If you can, you should do anything. You should do something about it. One thing, even if you are not in autonomous college, one thing you can do is to collaborate and cooperate with sister departments, because if somebody is already been teaching that topic, right? Let's say structure of DNA, somebody has already taught it in a different department. It's okay to not teach it again. I mean, the head of departments can meet and make some kind of a sharing strategy so that we are not repeating the syllabus. Then see, by not repeating it, you have more time to give attention to the non-repeated unique chapters of your syllabus, and then the syllabus doesn't seem so big for the students. Now, you also can do justice those topics which were somewhat advanced. You have more time to prepare the foundation for those topics and teach them. This requires, extraordinary effort from the teachers across departments, because if you have 2 or 3 departments, everyone has to agree and share the common syllabus. It will really help, right? It is one way to improve the syllabus. And the second thing which our teachers have been, the 2 speakers before me and also yesterday's speaker that I heard were talking about, is to improve the teaching itself. Because, okay, some of the topics you can control, but many topics you cannot control. They are in the syllabus. You have to teach them how to improve teaching. And every single person says, make it more interactive. Don't be lecture-based. Make it more interactive. Make it team-based, project-based, something, right? And these type of solutions, they address those factors which I have called extrinsic to the students. These are not to say that they are not important, right? Because if you make these factors, if you make the classroom a very pleasant place where people feel comfortable, they feel the syllabus is within their grasp, they are not learning the same thing 50th time, and they have the freedom to interact with their friends, do something which they are interested in. Maybe that will help. Okay. What about the intrinsic factors? These are also to be addressed by teachers, because unless we make the student mentally prepared to receive discipline-based knowledge, right? They will not do well. Okay, so the thing is, this is a bad thing that our students focus on the exam. The minute you say there's no exam, this topic will not be tested, there is no credit for this activity, you will see most students don't do it. Like right from childhood, they have been trained to just get marks, as if they're like some kind of a machine which is programmed to just harvest marks. And so any activity which does not have credit, like in terms of marks, or doesn't have some kind of participation certificate or something, immediately that activity is seen as without any value. And how to change this mindset? It's really tough, but if you sit with your peers in your class, for your students, maybe you can make them see that it's fun to learn, right? But this fun is really a bad thing, because we have these people who I have nothing against Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, but the way he comes and says about this some Byju's app, make it fun. What is fun? Fun is something that you can do well. Okay, it's fun for me to bicycle because I know how to bicycle, but if I give the bicycle to somebody who doesn't know how to cycle, right, it is a terrifying thing, right? If you know how to drive your car, well, it's fun. I want to go on a long drive. There's a person who doesn't know how to drive. You say, come on, go for a long drive. They are not going to like it at all, right? So this fun, feeling fun, meaning like the minute you see it, you should just get it. It's effortless. You see, nothing is effortless. Even bicycling is not effortless. Even walking was not effortless. The little baby fell 500 times before they learned how to walk. And this kind of message which our society is giving, that it should be fun, as if it's without effort, you should just become a master of some topic. It just doesn't work that way, right? So you have to prepare the students to accept some struggle. The fun comes when after struggle you win. That is the real fun, because you have struggled but you have overcome. That is the fun. The fun is not in just effortlessly getting something. Okay, and that's the other thing, is like, oh, I'm learning all this thing. When in my life will I ever use it? Who knows? We don't know whose life is going to go in which direction, right? And whatever it is, I think, I don't think we are going to get any help. Sadly, we are not going to get any help from media meaning movies or ads. And also, very sadly, we are not going to get any help from parents, because parents, to some extent, are the ones who are driving their kids to value every activity in terms of some kind of a career goal, which is how many marks will you get for doing this particular thing. Since they are not doing this, parents, their friends, the media, nobody is doing this. This entire burden now has come on us as teachers to create the mindset, a good mindset of the students to change their focus, right? What is this focus? The most common problem is this wrong focus. Is like, why am I learning this, right? So here's this person who has learned how to solve this beautiful, complicated equations, right? It's so nice that this person knows to do it, but he is like, when in my real life will I ever solve such problems? That see, the thing is, the syllabus is not what you're going to do in life. It is preparing you to do what you will be doing in your life. And unless the student gets that point, right, they are going to feel disconnected with the syllabus, right? So somehow this is the challenge before the teachers, is to, instead of focusing on the details, right? Focusing on the detail of how to solve this equation, for example, right? Or focusing on the detail of how to draw a graph, right? Focus on the concept, like what is it that you're doing? You're able to take some data and you're able to extract this information out of it. You're able to take some numbers and you're able to draw a graph out of it. You're able to see different types of microbes, but you're able to see what's common and what is unique and special about it. Okay, so to make the journey as interesting as the destination, your destination is the degree, right? But the journey is very interesting, because if you don't enjoy it, your learning is not going to make you feel happy, and therefore you feel this disconnect. You feel like it's not relevant to my life. Okay, so Rajlakshmi ma'am already covered this. I'm going to kind of quickly go through this. How do we make them enjoy that journey, right? How do we make them feel that what they are learning is actually going to be important for their future life? So a quick look at how teachers do. So this is how it was. Before there was formal education, people would apprentice with somebody you at a young age, usually before the age of 10, but definitely as a teenager, you would start working with somebody, a painter, a builder, an engineer, a doctor, and then learn that, and then you become the novice professional is when you join that profession. Okay, so that model was good, but the problem is that you only know about your very narrow field. You don't have a wide perspective about matters of the world, because that's not what that your mentor can teach you. The other way is to what people do, like most of us do, like we teach a lot of theory, we have some practicals, and then so you have if a student is engaged, they have really good general knowledge, a wide variety of subjects that they have covered, though they may not actually be able to apply it to any particular thing. Their technical skills are weak, but at least they have good foundation, right? And then with this new emphasis on doing some kind of internship or doing some kind of a project, you now have, you are improving their ability, their technical skills. So you have added one extra unit to your lesson plans, which is to have them do some work on their own. Okay. But my solution is this, right? And I have only one. This time I'm going to give you only 1 point solution, is to just teach at a higher level. Right? What does that teach at a higher level means? So I think everyone has seen this pyramid, which is going from a very simple way of learning, which is just to remember something. You don't even know what it means. Even your small child who is in pre-K or nursery, they will say Jack and Jill went up the hill. They have absolutely no idea what it means. They have learned so many things, right? They have memorized it, they remember it. And we also tell them, like, learn that 2 1s are 2, 2 2s are 4. They don't really know what it is. So you have just learned a lot of things. And our students do that. They just remember a lot of things. And many of them sadly are not able to go to the next step even to understand them. Okay. So I feel that firstly, passive listening is not good. We have just said that in the lecture, the amount of lecture time, the shorter it is, the better it is for the students. Not that they should be let out of the class. They should be working on their own. What is it that they're doing? They're doing something which is the higher level skills, which people keep saying, teach your students critical thinking. There cannot be a separate course on critical thinking, because thinking requires basis of knowledge. If you don't have knowledge of that topic, you cannot think about that topic, right? So once you have given some kind of minimum facts or information, it is to try to get people to produce new work, the topmost point, to feel creative about it. And the more we de-emphasize the memory part of learning, right, and more we emphasize the creative part of memory, the analysis part of memory, of learning, the evaluation, like I have given you 2 options, which is the better option? What is a good point of this option? What is a good point of that option? So having them think about these things, right, will be the way to do it. So we have to teach at a higher level. Doesn't mean you have to use very complicated language. It means don't give them too much information. Make them process the information, find new information, go to more than one source and find what is the strong and weak point of each course, right? So when we look at this time, people talk about flipping the curriculum. I loved this diagram which I came across. So the way we are teaching is what's on the left. You see, we spend lot of time giving them all kinds of information. What is the pitch of DNA? What is the structure of some particular thing? What is the pathway? What is the metabolic disease? What is the, so much information is given here. And then there is no time left to actually understand it. And really there is even less time to transfer this learning to some other topic, which is their own life, right? To transfer this learning to what they need to know to make good decisions in their life. So a better way is to spend very less time in giving them the information and stressing, giving enough time to understand and apply that knowledge, right? So give as little information as possible, and then of course make students use that to do 2 things. One is to go into more details of it, or to go into allied topics, allied activities which are related to this topic. And maybe that will help. That will definitely make them feel involved in class. And also, as a side effect, you have to do less work, which is also good, because then you have time to think of other things which can keep them engaged in class, right? So here I have an example of good teaching, and I'm very happy to see my friend Anil is also attending this lecture. So long ago, Anil and I, we thought of getting students involved, and we used to think of make what we called experiment of the month. Each month, think of an experiment, and this was the challenge to the students, right? So I think all life science teachers teach this. This is a discovery of DNA as genetic material. It's the famous Griffith's experiment. Everyone teaches this. But I am telling you, please do not teach it on the day of class, because this is already taught in 12th standard. I have seen the NCERT books. When they come to class, give them this diagram. The diagram is quite big, so I have put it first half of it on one slide and the next half of it on second slide. Anyone who wants it, I will send you the PDF. It's on one sheet of paper. Give this to your students and ask them to write what has happened here, like a science paper, right? What are the materials that are required, what are the experimental steps, what are the observations, what are the conclusions, like as if they have done this experiment. So that way, two things happen. One is that the student learns to write when they have just been given this diagram. There's nothing, there are no words, right? So just this diagram. If they don't understand it, of course, you are in class, they can come and ask you something. If they remember it, or if they want to read it up themselves, there's a textbook available, they can read it up, but then close the textbook and write about it in your own words. Right? And so this is an example of less teaching, but very much more learning, very much more doing. And then you can make it a competition, you can make it a teamwork competition, right? It doesn't matter. You can make it as a homework, right? Or you can make it as a seminar, or just a minute. Person comes to in front of class and explains experiment 3, for example, right? And then also tells what could have been the other reasons that the mouse didn't die, for example, right? Maybe you didn't inject it properly, for example, stuff like that, right? So, like I said, our job has become more complicated now, because it's not enough to just give the subject knowledge, because the students don't have the attitude to do well. Okay, so this is what they're saying. So of course we need to give them the knowledge. This is our subject knowledge. Okay, but we need to give them skills so that they get the subject knowledge. To get these skills, they need to have the good attitude, that they need to study, that everything is not going to come easily, that struggle is a wonderful thing, because at the end of struggle you feel so empowered. You know that if you are given some challenge, you know how to persevere and come out of it. Okay, and to get this, you need some generic skills, and to so these, and so to have these generic skills, you need some metacognitive skills, which is like metacognitive, think about yourself. It's like realize that this thing I'm really not good at. I'm not good at understanding this topic, or I'm not very strong in expressing stuff, or I'm really not strong in understanding data when it comes in tables, right? And so once you start from here, I think this is the starting point, is for the student to reflect on what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses, work on those, use that to grow a good attitude, get the skills to understand your subject, get the subject knowledge, which is what we are trying to do. And once you get this, these are like lifelong, you have learned this right from the roots up, you are going to be a very good, very prepared young person to join the profession. So this is this is my last slide. So, can we do this? Can we make a syllabus, which is not, this is what we are focusing on, the knowledge part of it, right? We have excellent slides or videos or lectures. We ourselves know it. We are able to explain it very well, but it is not hitting the mark. It's not hitting the mark because things are missing. What is missing is this intrinsic factor, the mindfulness, the curiosity of the students, the courage to take up a challenge, accept that this subject is hard, but I'm going to master it anyway. If I don't do well, it's okay. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to climb back up. I'm not going to be cheating. I'm not going to be plagiarizing. I will work with my team and get it done. And also, to be creative, to be able to communicate. It is really, really sad when we go for Viva exams and we talk to students, they are not able to string together 2 sentences. They are unable to speak. They have had no practice in talking about the subject. They have a lot of practice gossiping with their friends about whatever it is, clothes or movies or some other food items or some, whatever it is that they're doing, but they have no experience, they have no practice in talking about the subject. Okay. And right on top of this is so important. It's important also for teachers. It's like, to reflect on our own selves, to be honest with ourselves, to see where you are lacking, where you need to put in more effort, and then taking those actions, asking for help from your friends or from your teachers, or maybe putting that extra effort, building yourself up. I think if some elements of these are there in the teaching, we will see students feel more interested in biology. They feel connected, right? So I have some recommendations. We have unit wise. So for each unit, I would recommend at least one topic, which is do your own thing. Do something. You take any topic from that unit and do something, right? Make a slide, make a picture, write a paragraph, find out something about the person who did it, right? What is it? You can make a poster, you can make an infographic, you can read a paper about it and explain it in class, write an essay, not a practice answer, because this is what many teachers have their students do. They practice writing answers, which is great, but not just the answer. Write an essay about that topic, make the students prepare a quiz, have some creative activity. It could be a dialogue, it could be a skit, it could be a song, it could be an advertisement. Okay, have this a visitor, right? So this becomes really, really easy, because you can just now ask a virtual visit, ask some person to visit that class and talk about a particular topic in that unit, or you visit a lab. Right? You don't have to go to CCMB Open Day, you don't have to go to NIN. Look at their website, look at something that they have done, and then pretend that you have gone there and talk about it, right? Have in your class, for every class, have as many speakers as possible, right? Many times this teaching assignment is like an administration. You are supposed to teach 18 hours a week or 20 hours a week, whatever it is. And so one person gets the entire burden of paper 1 or paper 2 or something like that. It can be on paper, but if you have 5 people in your department, please make sure every person goes to every class. It's a relief for you to see new people, and it's also a relief for the students to see a new teacher, and different teachers have different skills, okay? And that makes it really good. Different teachers also have different like mastery over different topics, and that also gives a good break to the students, right? And finally, this is the last one. See, try to connect a topic, you do it, or have the teachers do it, or have the students do it, to some kind of technology, a product, or a procedure which has come out of it, or a policy, or a government program like the Indradhanush program for vaccination, which has been such a great hit. Or maybe you ask them, now that you have learned it, can you think of a product that you can, or a technology that you can develop out of it and patent it, right? So for each unit, if you have this at least 3 out of these 6 activities going, then it doesn't become a very routine kind of teaching. Students will love it. Okay, so now this is my last slide, and this is, you might have heard this thing. Not only must justice be done, it should be, people should feel that justice has been done. Okay, whenever there is some injustice in our society, we want that justice. It's not enough that it should be done secretly. It should be well known. People who are not even involved in that case should feel that this justice has been done, right? But in our case, this is not about justice. What I read this saying that teaching is a myth, but learning is a reality. And I really agree with this, because if teaching was real, then a good teacher would teach all students. Every student would get it, right? Because if it's only dependent on the teacher, then or the teaching, then every student would get this topic. They would all be good, but it's not true. So the learning is what happened. Those who want to learn will learn. Those who don't can't. So I'm going to say, see, not only learning must be done, the students should feel that they are learning. And to do that, you have to make them do some new activities all the time, right? So that's all I have to say. Students have to be involved. That means teachers need to present less and discuss more about the impact of whatever it is that they are teaching. Right? And please, every week have some activity. Make the students generate something so that they feel that they are learning it. And you all know we need to be lifelong learners. So that's it. I welcome your questions, comments, suggestions.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such elaborate lecture, and it was so good listening to you. I didn't feel that 1 hour has been over, and it was such an impressive lecture. Thank you so much. I'm hearing you for the first time, but
Thank you, Shailaja ma'am. Thank you. I am really thrilled to talk to you all of again, right? Someday, once COVID is over, I'll come and visit you to the college just to talk with you guys, because you are a wonderful bunch of teachers.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. And then I just wanted to make a statement,
Yes.
My topic, making biology relevant to the students. I was thinking that COVID-19 had made biology relevant not only to students, but in everybody's life. This is
Yes,
one
yes.
thing that now everybody wants to know what is COVID and how does it get into a person, and then how it infects and what are the things that they can do to avoid it and all that.
Yes,
So it
yes, yes.
really helped the mindset of the society as such towards biology. I mean, that's what I.
Yeah. That it would be wonderful, Dr. Shailaja, if you could, do some kind of research. Like, like I said, are you finding your students more engaged now compared to previous classes, right? Do you feel
Yes.
and maybe you can devise a simple questionnaire and then actually, write a paper on the educational impact of COVID. It would be very
Yeah,
nice.
that would be nice. Ma'am, you were talking about the student and teacher interaction, where
Yes.
you were saying if you have any suggestions or recipes related to it, you can add it to it.
Yeah, yeah.
A teacher comes towards a student and makes
Yes.
understanding, or a student goes and talks to the teacher to get a better understanding.
Yes.
The other way would be like how what Anil sir has told us in the first session, where the perusal, where the
Yeah.
topic is given and the students interact themselves, and the group of students coming towards a teacher could be another alternate.
Definitely, yes. We need every tool that we have to engage them, right? Because different students have different interests. Like some are readers, some are listeners, some are writers. The way they learn is by different ways. But also, every student needs to know a basic level of everything, right? They need to learn to be able to read, write, and express. So, having a variety of activities, all of them, the more ways you hook them, right, the deeper they are engaged with your topic.
Yes.
Yes.
But the only difficulty that we face in the classroom is like you have varied type of learners, advanced and slow learners. To match up to both of them in terms of managing the class and the type of schedule that we have in a semester, spending
Yeah.
according to their requirement would be a challenge for a teacher, and that is where we are little.
Yeah. So, many colleges, even in my class, I had a policy of not allowing cell phones on certain days. But on certain days, I would allow them cell phones so that everyone, I would say, like, you can sit and I'm walking around in the class. You can research this topic. So the advanced learners, like you say, are sitting at one end, doing this advanced, finding out something more, because at the end of the class they have to give me something, right, on a piece of paper. And then the slower learners, right, maybe they are like the do your own thing, is that they are trying to get notes from somebody, or they are trying to get doubts cleared from somebody, because that also happens in class. Outside class, most likely they're not going to do it. So like one class per unit is not so much, where you have, because you have reduced your teaching, you are letting the advanced students maybe in class sit and allow the mobile if possible, or they can be in computer lab if you want to have a more, that kind of setting. And the other students, those who are not researching something, are actually catching up with their notes, or some, clearing their doubts, so that they are trying to come up, making up for their deficits. It requires a lot of, you're right, Dr. Shailaja, it requires a lot of, thought and work from the teachers. The lecture is the easiest thing to do, but this requires so much planning, and you require support of your admin staff also. If you're of your principal, of your head of department, they should not see you as like just not doing anything in class and letting students be wild.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Truly said.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
It was
you.
a very engaging session, and both the questions asked are answered, ma'am. And before we move forward, I request the participants to note that the feedback form link will be posted in the chat section, and please fill it in before you leave. I would also like to add that the resource person for day 3 has given an assignment. We are required to install the following apps, that is OpenShot Video, Camtasia, and KineMaster. And the participants should shoot a short video introduction to a course they would like to offer as MOOC. Further details are shared in the WhatsApp group. Thank you. Now I request Ms. Malati Verma ma'am to introduce our esteemed speaker. I'm so sorry to propose the vote of thanks.
Vote of thanks. Thank you, Vidya ma'am. It was an excellent talk to end our today's session. Making biology learning relevant to students is actually a very new concept. I myself, as a biology teacher, had never thought on this. We might have been doing this unknowingly, but if we highlight and try to implement, it is going to bring a lot of change in our students. Your presentation has given that spark of thought in us. Totally agree to the example quoted by you, ma'am, about education or learning cannot be a total fun. It must be awarded to the one who gives his efforts, and efforts will go a long way. We also understand importance of less teaching, which will make more learning possible to the students. Education that can help self-analyze as teachers for us also. It's a 4D education, which you have shown in one of the slides, was very interesting, ma'am. Truly agree, teaching is a myth, but learning is a true reality. Thank you so much, ma'am. So with your permission, I would extend my thanks to all the audience. We come to the end of today's session. On behalf of St. Francis family, I, Malti Verma, take privilege to propose vote of thanks. Our heartfelt thanks to our principal, Dr. Sister Sandra Horta, Vice Principal, Dr. Sister Shirley, for being constant driving force that has helped us to successfully conduct this FDP. Our sincere thanks to all the speakers of the day, Professor K. Srinivas Garu, Dr. Rajalakshmi ma'am, and Dr. Vithya Janalagadda ma'am for accepting our invitation and enlightening us with their expertise. Our gratitude and sincere thanks to the convener of this program, Dr. Shailaja Raj, Head Department of Microbiology, co-conveners Dr. Kanchana, Head Department of Biochemistry, and Ms. Shawnee Nivedita, Head Department of Biotechnology, and all the faculty members of these 3 departments, microbiology, biochemistry, and biotechnology, for their tireless efforts in working towards the success of this webinar. Our sincere thanks to the American Corner for giving us all the support. Sincere thanks to Mr. Ravi, Department of Mass Communication, for his continuous support for the smooth conduct of the program. Thanks to Mr. Ram and his technical team. I thank my colleagues, Dr. Soni for the prayer and Ms. Nikita Sharma for moderating this session. We appreciate and are immensely thankful to each one of the participant faculties from St. Francis and faculties who have joined from all the places across India. Thank you so much.